Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Testimonial Tuesday call. You found us. Yay. Glad to be with you this evening. I'm your host, Robin Blanc-Mascari, and what we do on this evening is we get to hear your stories, and your stories are a gift to everyone. So just know that the reason we're sharing your stories is they inspire other people to share with friends and family that they know and make a difference in a lot of people's lives. So what we're going to do, the focus for the structure for our evening is we're going to spend 12 to 15 minutes on your stories first. Then we're going to bring on our practitioner, and then spend a few minutes with her this evening. It's Dr. Moreau. And then after that, you have a chance to ask questions. And we want you to ask the questions in the chat. When Anne is talking is when you want to start asking your questions, because if they're too far back, I'll miss them. And I don't want to miss them. So the sooner you get your questions in, the sooner they'll get answered. And the testimonials, we want you to share your symptoms, what it was like before, what your limitations were, what was challenging for you, what you couldn't do, you couldn't sleep, or you had a hard time with your painful knee, or whatever that may be, what you used, X39, and then now what you can do. So if you keep it brief, keep it compliant, and then be done. So we, 30 to 60 seconds, so we can have a lot of people, different people share. And what you want to do is raise your hand so I can see who's ready to share your testimonial. And if I don't see hands raised, I'll be calling on some of our leaders to share stories, because they're always ready to share stories, because that's how they ended up being leaders, because we are professional storytellers. And for those of you that want to grow your business, get really good at sharing your story or other people's stories. And the more stories you share, the bigger your business is going to grow. So let's start out with whoever wants to raise their hand and is ready to share a story. And then we'll get the ball rolling here. We are recording. We want to say hi to our Facebook group. Thank you so much for being there. Glad to have you. And let's see, do I see any hands? Okay, it's time to raise your hands, everyone. And I will be calling. Okay, there we have a bunch of hands. So when you raise your hand, you want to put your camera on and you want to unmute your line. And then we'll get started with Megan, and then we'll go to Christina, and then we'll go to John to get things started. So Megan, it's your chance to share your story tonight. Thank you.
Hey everybody, I'm kind of new to the patches. I don't even think I've had them a month yet. And one of my biggest struggles was sleeping at night. And I would wake up at like 2, 3, and 4, and I would be up for like an hour. And I own 5 businesses, so I really don't have time to not sleep at night. And since I've been using the patch, like I am actually sleeping through the night, and it has been a huge blessing. And I am so grateful, because I have way too much to do to not sleep at night.
Well, Megan, you modeled that beautifully, and welcome to the Live Younger community and to LifeWave. We're thrilled with the results you're getting. That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. That was beautifully done. Okay, next we have Christina. It's Christina. Yes, please.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. I just was going to tell you guys the story of my husband. He woke up one morning and he had a really bad headache, one of those headaches that it goes into really super bad. And I grabbed some ice wave and I popped the white one here right above the eyebrow and the tan one here, and put an Eon on the back of his neck. And he said, "Whoa, it's all better." And he went back to sleep.
Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that, and it's so wonderful, Christina, that you're sharing your husband's story, which is wonderful, and that you were able to help him that quickly, easily. In scientific studies, the ice wave gives instant or rapid relief to 94% of people. That is beautiful, and you did it succinctly and compliantly. Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing, Christina. Okay. John, you are next. And
yes. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
have two X39 stories here. One is my ongoing story. I sat this Saturday, I played my push cart. I like to walk with my friends, and my push cart broke down. So I didn't have it. So I just carried my bag, and my bag is the way it is, it's not that heavy, but with the X39, the X49, after the round, I didn't feel a thing. I was not tired. I had more than I ever have, just finishing walking 18 holes, carrying my bag. And then we went to a restaurant. And in the restaurant, I was talking to my friends about energy, basically, and the X39. And as we left the restaurant, this other person who was stopped me and said, I overheard your discussion here. Are you offering energy? I only heard part of it. And I said, yes, I have. And I gave him an X39 patch. He wore it. And that next day, he texted me and said, I cannot believe what a life changer this is for me. I usually fall asleep when I'm eating my meals. For the last 3 to 4 years, I just have no energy whatsoever. Just like that, my life has changed. So it was really very heartwarming. So he ended up, he said, I want more. I said, yeah. He ordered him on Sunday night.
Okay, so there's several things that happened in that story. Thank you, John. That's wonderful. And if you're not a golfer, I invite you to go pick up someone's golf bag. And John is being very humble about this, but those things are heavy. It's a reason that they have wheels on them, because they're heavy. And, you might be one of those golfers that uses, 3 clubs. I don't know. But congratulations on that. And then
No, I
sharing.
use 14.
You use how many? How many clubs?
I use 14 clubs. That's the
Okay.
maximum.
So
can
he's
use.
got a heavy bag. Okay, you guys think about 14 clubs and the bag itself, just by itself, and that he was sharing in a public place and someone overheard and that turned in. So I love it. It works. Thank you so much, John. That was wonderful. Okay,
welcome.
Peg is next, and whoever is next, please raise your hand because we need to hear from you.
Hi, I'm new. I've been doing an X39 for 2 months, and I went to see my DO today for cranial osteopathy, and he hasn't seen me for like 3 or 4 months. And I told him what I was doing, and he said that he felt that I had a lot of energy around me, a lot stronger healing energy, and that it wasn't quite getting in, and he adjusted me and thought that would help. But he saw a big change, and he said that my tics had decreased a lot, like 60%, and was quite impressed. And he'd never heard of it, so I left him my card and told him to go to the I can't remember what you call it, the square, and he could find out more about it. And I invited him to the seminar that we're having in Maine next month, and he was like really interested, so that was cool. And then another story, I just signed up a neighbor, and she had company tonight, and he had back pain, and she brought him down and asked me to patch him up. And so I put a couple ice waves and an Eon in a triangle, and then I put an X39 on his neck, and his pain was gone in 5 minutes after he had drank a lot of water. So
Wow, that was fabulous. So Peg,
yeah.
thank you. That's wonderful, and welcome to you too. If you haven't seen your practitioner in a while, it's really wonderful. And if you can do some good baselines, that's why we encourage everyone who's getting started to fill out the health tracker. If you can get a blood panel or some other baselines, that's really good. I just had my annual wellness exam, and my doctor said, I'm going to be 70 at my next birthday. She goes, your blood panel is perfect, Robin. My blood sugar was 88. I knew that my blood pressure was going to be 112/70 because that's what it always is. It's like, Yes, you're doing well. She was thrilled. So it's a wonderful thing, and it's great that they didn't know. So you get to share. So thank you so much for that. And you
Thank you.
sound like you're an experienced patcher already. You know,
Well, I was felt like I was just guessing, but it worked. So thank you, God.
that's what we get to do, is you just keep trying things and trust your instincts. Trust your instincts. That's beautiful. Thank you, Peg. Okay, I see Sunshower's hand up. So you are next, Sunshower, and we're looking for more hands. We got a few more minutes, and we'd love to have a few more stories. So I will call in some of our leaders if we don't have more hands, because I want a few more stories. But Sunshower, you always have great stories. Welcome.
Well, thank you so much, Robin. And many people have heard some of my stories because, they're pretty fantastic. These patches are what we almost think of as miraculous, but we all know it's science. So I can tell you that my floaters that I had in my eyes are gone. And my vision seems to be getting better. That's what my ophthalmologist says every year. He goes, I thought we were going to have to do that, that surgery for the film over the eyes. He goes, no, don't have to do that. And so what patch? Well, X39 every single day of my career with Lifeway, 3 years now. So carnosine, maybe here, and X39. But I see some other hands, so I'll get to my main story. So I was born without the ability to smell, no olfactory sense. And 2 years into it, with consistent use of the X39, now I can smell. I smell everything around me.
Love it. That's so wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So we got plenty of hands now. So we'll finish up with whose hands are up. We got plenty. So keep it brief, everyone, so we can get through each one of them. Mary Kelly, we want you next. Thank you, Sunshower.
Hi, everybody. Well, I
Okay.
have really good news. I broke my 5th metatarsal.
That doesn't sound like good news.
That wasn't good news, but this is good news. I had an x-ray today and there is no break. 4 weeks. Yay! It works. I love it.
I love it. You're a speedy healer, and that's what happens. That copper peptide. We encourage everyone, especially if you're a guest, to research GHK-CU. That will tell you why healing is accelerated. Thank you, Mary. That's great news. Adele, you are next.
Hi, beautiful Robin. I want to share a story one of my brand partners had in San Diego. Her mother, 83, was admitted to the hospital for sepsis. And she called me very upset and said, do you think I can put X39 on? Oh, I'm sorry, I know better. For a blood condition, a dangerous blood condition. Sorry, I really know better. Anyway, can I put X39 on her? And I said, only if you're there to monitor her. Don't put 83-year-old that sick. I said, don't put it on her if you're not there to watch her. The doctor, when she first was admitted, wanted to put her on remdesivir and a ventilator. And she said, no. So anyway, she put X39 on her, and within 15 minutes, her mother was getting up to go to the bathroom, continued to do that, had huge recovery, was home within 3 or 4 days. I think they let her go in 3 days and she stayed one extra night, and was dancing around. I got a video of her dancing around at home the next day. And the doctor, the same doctor that tried to put her on the medication, walked into the room and told my friend, this is remarkable. So he didn't ask what she did. And I was there when she put the patch on her mom's back, and she did it very discreetly, so the staff didn't see what she was doing, but that's really all that she did. So, well, there were a few other little things, but pretty exciting. So just thought I'd share that.
And she's 83, correct?
83, yes. And I was scared to death. I thought, that sick, but what could it hurt at that point? And it just amazing.
Beautiful story. And look at a life that you changed. And if you are in a hospital, you do need to be discreet. I've actually patched people in hospital. I wait till the staff leaves and I say, if they ask, what is that? I say, oh, she's superstitious. It's a good luck Band-Aid. That's what I say. And it works. So, and you saw the results immediately. How fun is that? Wonderful. I love it. Okay, we have Megan and then we have Barbara Larrabee, and then we're going to move on to the next part of our program. So Megan, it's your turn.
Hey everybody, I'm driving. Can you tell your story? Okay, fine, never mind. Okay, so I own a security company and I have an officer who had an injured toe. He didn't know what happened. He just woke up one day and had severe pain in his big toe. So I gave him four ice wave patches with the X39 and then 2 Eon patches. So had him put the ice wave on at night, and then had him now he had this for like several weeks before I started giving this to him. And then once I gave it to him, he maybe had it like another week and a half.
A couple of days.
Oh, he said a couple of days. In a couple of days, he was able to walk on his foot without it hurting him.
Thank you so much for sharing. That's beautiful. If someone has pain 24/7, we wear the patches 12 hours. So X39 and ice wave during the day, and then Eon at night to reduce the inflammation and reduce the pain. So we can help people a lot, and that'll give them a good night's rest too. Great story. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So Barbara, you're going to finish it up.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Robin. My most powerful story is my own story, because I found out one day that my kidneys were in trouble, and it was just a couple of months after that I learned about the patches. So I figured stem cells, of course I'm going to check this out. And it took 14 months, but instead of needing to go on dialysis, because I was very close to that, my kidneys are back in the normal range, and they have stayed in the normal range, and the numbers are still getting better. And so they've been normal for about 7 months now. And so I want to share that with everybody. And I need to add something here really important that happened today. I was at my dentist's office, and I was wearing a patch on my arm that I'd put some little blingy things on, just to start the conversation. And in conversation with the gal by my chair, she said, "Oh my gosh, you've got to talk to our receptionist, because the doctor told her that she only has 6 to 7 years to live, that her kidneys are failing and she will be on dialysis very soon." So when I checked out and paid my bills, I told her my story, and it was just so important to give someone hope like that. And she was young and beautiful. I mean, maybe 40, I don't know, but I don't know what was going on with her kidneys, but her doctor, she was very close to going on dialysis, and her doctor told her she only had a few years to live. Oh my gosh. So we just need to keep talking to people.
There's a sense of responsibility to share,
Yeah.
Barbara. And your story is amazing. And there's more to that story that Barbara didn't share, because I know about it. Her husband passed away with a kidney disease. And so there was an underlying serious concern there. And we are thrilled that it turned around. We are thrilled, thrilled, thrilled. Thank you so much for sharing that. And how fun to have that story from today. Okay, so now it's time to move to the next section of our program, and where I'm going to introduce Ann Moreau. And Ann is one of our leaders, and she's moving up the ranks. She's very soon to be a presidential director. She's a nurse of 45 plus years. She's a community builder. She's an educator. She's a nutritionist, and she helps people understand that healthy food is really delicious. And she has a wonderful community that gets together regularly. She's building a fabulous team, and I want to welcome Ann.
Thank you so much, Robin. Love to come on this call. I love the stories. What powerful stories. I love them all tonight. And I loved your little idea of the sticker. What did you call it? You called it a
bling? The bling?
Not the bling. No, in the hospital when you put a sticker.
Oh. It's,
Like
they're superstitious. It's a good luck Band-Aid.
Like Band-Aid. Okay, I'm gonna remember that. A good luck Band-Aid. That is awesome. I love it.
I was actually in the ICU and I called Dr. Nicholas because this friend of mine she was a wreck and it was her boyfriend in the hospital, and only with his guidance would I have done this. And I went into ICU. He was on a respirator. This is many years ago. And when there was no staff, I did put a patch on him. We watched the monitor on the respirator change like that. Like it was instant. She looked at me and I looked at her and we went, whoa. It was amazing because it's safe. It's safe.
Absolutely.
Okay. So my dear, you always have wonderful stories and I know you're going to weave some in, but as a practitioner, because we have lots and lots of practitioners, what is it that got you interested to really look deeper and try this technology and then to share it?
Well, for me, I was at the time looking for something very innovative. And I think that, I didn't want any Me Too product kind of thing. I had been involved with another company. It was, and I wanted something that, I knew had a lot of research. That was important. The science was important to me. And I needed to see the clinical studies. So that was also an important piece for me. And also was very important to know that there was more coming down the pipe. And when I discovered and met David himself, I just fell in love with that man. He is an amazing man. For those of you who've never met David, he has so much integrity. He's so sincere. He's heart-centered. And of course, he's titling this year, the whole year, Heart to Heart. And that's who he represents and what he represents. And so I just really fell in love with all of it, the whole picture, of what this company is all about, truly.
Okay. And you've had some amazing results, and so is your team. So when someone asks you, and what can I expect from this? How long is it going to take for me to notice something? What do you say to them?
There's no clear answer to that because everybody is so different, right? So there are some people that I've patched that they'll immediately get results. Other people, and I'm one of those people, I did not notice anything initially. It took months. And in fact, most practitioners, if you talk to most practitioners, they would tell you for every decade of your life, give it a full month. And I'm 70, so that meant 7 months, right? So I think it's important to understand that we are all different. We have to figure out where to put patches, because patch placement is an important component of this. We have to figure out where is energy not moving like it should. There's an energy block in the body. And so there's a lot to this. And it sometimes takes time to get people there. So I tell people, give it a good 6 months to a year for sure.
Beautiful, beautiful. Everyone is different. It's really fun when people notice it right away. So, it did take you some time. You want to share your eye story because it's such a great story.
Well, and that was a 3-year story before I discovered what
3-year story. So everybody pay attention to that. Yeah.
So I have been on consistently using X39 for 3 years. I did add X49 last year, which is a sister stem cell patch. And I had gone 2 years ago for my eye exam. And when I went to see him last year, he didn't do a lot of workup on my eyes, but then this year he did. 2 years ago, he had told me, you have the film. You heard similar stories a little while ago. You have a film going over your eyes. We're going to monitor that film very closely. When it matures, we're going to do some surgery on you. And I said, okay. So 2 years go by, I go in and have my exam done. He does all of the testing, and he did a lot of extra testing. I don't do the eye drops because the dilation bothers me when I drive after. So he has this other tool he uses to really look at the blood vessels that feed the eye as well. And he said, I don't see your film, it's gone. He said, your near vision is better. Your distant vision is better. He said, I want to show you your eyeballs. And he shows me the blood vessels and that feed the eye. And he said, those blood vessels are the healthiest blood vessels. I said, is this typical of a 71-year-old? And he said, are you kidding? He said, most of the people that I work with, by the time they're your age or in the 60s even, they've already had surgery. And he said, I'm not going to check you for another 3 years for this problem.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, I'm liking this.
So the X39, and what other patch did you use?
Consistently, I would say the X39 and the X49. Those are the two that I really use consistently.
Okay, great. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then, how do people really get the maximum benefit out of using this technology? What do you say to them when you're giving them instructions on how to use it to get the best results?
Consistency. I mean, you've got to be consistent. And I mean, I talk to people sometimes who say, well, I've used it for a month, but I haven't used it for a while. And it's not going to work as well, right? You need to use it consistently every day. Get into the habit of, for some people, it's, if you brush your teeth in the morning and at night, put it by your toothbrush, and that'll remind you. If you need to do the timer thing, do the timer thing. Wear it 12 hours on, 12 hours off, and hydrate. People do not drink enough water today, and people drink a lot of beverages like caffeine that tend to, to pull minerals out of the system. And so for every cup of coffee you have, you should replace that with 2 glasses of water, so we should be drinking at least in ounces, half of our body weight in ounces. And if you can get a little more, that's great. Some people are really deficient in minerals. And for those individuals, I tell them, make sure that you take in a mineralized water. Something like Light Show, LYTE, does not have any added sugar. And there's some others out there that have some flavorings that have magnesium and potassium and some of those minerals that the body needs, because many, many people are, and Dr. Tom Ackman likes to say, salt deficient, because these are our salts and they're important.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Consistency, 12 on, 12 off, hydration, make sure you're mineralized. Some people like to put salt, a little bit of salt in their water. And I just recently learned about Arctic salts, Icelandic salt and Arctic salts that are way higher in minerals than Himalayan or Celtic salt. And you don't need very much, which is great. Okay. Finally, is there anyone who should not be using the patches?
Yeah, someone who's had an organ transplant should not, because they are on anti-rejection medications, which suppresses the immune system. And all of the patches, several of the patches, help support the immune system, help to bring things back in balance. And so it goes against what you're doing with an organ transplant. And there's been no clinical studies. There's no way for us to know. And so it's best that they don't do the stem cell patches in particular. They can do some of the other patches, but not the stems. For example, Ice Wave could be used for pain for sure.
Great, great. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. So they're safe, they're natural, they're affordable, and more importantly, they work. And we can help a lot of people.
Here with medication, that is the other piece, because my 93-year-old mom is using several patches a day and is on several medications. And I never worry about them, because remember that these patches are non-transdermal. So as non-transdermal patches, they do not enter the body. When you, as a nurse in a hospital, when we gave transdermal patches, there was a medication in there that crossed the skin barrier and entered the body. This is not the case. In this particular case, we have these patches that are, by the way, the size, I have one on right here, of a quarter. And these patches, this is my glutathione today for my cold. And these patches have a frequency in them, and every patch has a different frequency. And the heat of the body, the infrared heat of the body activates that frequency, communicates with the brain, and sends a signal to either activate the GHK peptide, the alanine peptide, whatever it is that patch is designed to do. It will then begin to do that work.
Beautiful, beautiful. So it's safe for people on medications. It's safe for people that have a pacemaker. If you're on any immune suppressing medications, if you had an organ transplant or are on chemo, you want to wait till you're off the chemo. But if you're on immune suppressing, not X39, but some of the other patches are fine. Great. Are you ready for some questions?
Yeah, yes.
We got a bunch. Okay, I'm going to start out with I think Kathy, let's see, was it Ravel was the first one. The sister of a brand partner's experienced aching, painful joints and muscles and inflammation, extreme fatigue, very low energy, brain fog, mobility issues. Oh my goodness, digestive issues. She messed up her gut biome. She wants to get off steroids. What patches would you recommend? Can regeneration of adrenal glands occur? Thank you in advance.
Yeah, we're talking a very fragile individual. And I always start with X39 for most people, but when we're talking somebody as fragile as this individual may be, I would often start with Eon and allow them to be on Eon for a few days and see how they do. And then when they're ready, we then add the X39 patch, because X39 patch, the stem cell patch, does so many things. It helps with the inflammation. It helps with some of the aching. It helps with brain fog. A lot of the issues that are outlined on this question, it helps with. But this person may be pretty toxic. And so we want to go a little bit slower, because as you put on this particular patch, the stem cell patch, it will also activate or increase your glutathione levels in the body. Increasing your glutathione levels in the body can then cause you to eliminate toxins. And when you eliminate toxins, it then can make you feel a little sick to your stomach. It may give you a headache. These are detox symptoms, and this individual may experience that. So with an individual like this, I would then say, start with the X39 for 2 to 4 hours, see how they tolerate it, and build up. I've had a friend recently, I'll share her story. I always like to weave them in, right, Robin? Who she's had gut issues, and this lady's she's messed up her microbiome since she was a little girl, and she's in her 60s or her 50s, I would say. And she's always had these gut issues. And when I started her on the X39, oh my God, she did not feel good. And it wasn't what I expected. And so I started working with her, and we started having her do things just the way I outlined just now, very gradually. She slowly built up the X39. It took her a whole month to get to the 12 hours. So she gradually increased all the hours. And in the second month, she was doing 12 hours on, 12 hours off, as well as the Eon, consistently every night. And she called me 2 months in and said, I have no GI issues, none. I have not had this happen since I was a teenager.
Wow.
So it was remarkable, right?
So you said several really important things. When someone is really delicate, like this person, start very gently. And sometimes Eon is the best place to start. So Anne, do you do consults?
I do.
Okay, so it sounds like this person can use some additional help in rebuilding her microbiome. And so you want to put your contact information in the chat for everybody so they can reach out to you, because, you know, I'm really clear when someone has a lot going on, I refer them to one of our practitioners that understands the patches, because I want them to get the best support possible. Okay. Let's see. Kathy wants to know what recommended patch for the fight or flight situation.
A good question. So Eon is always the patch. Again, I always want people to start with X39. That's a very important place to start because I find people who have issues with stress management, with ability to think and concentrate, that I find the X39 is beautiful to get that clearer focus for them. But when we're talking about, this type of fight or flight situation, we want to look at Eon. And the reason for that patch Eon is AEON, is because Eon is beautiful for balancing the parasympathetic sympathetic nervous system. Remember that your sympathetic, when you're always on sympathetic mode, you're always on hyperdrive, and you're going, and you're out of balance and you're out of whack. And that's going to cause a lot of higher levels of cortisol in the body. And that higher level of cortisol is going to cause a lot of damage. So it's important to bring the balance back. And Eon does that beautifully. So it's a great.
Wonderful. Wonderful. It's like giving the body a big,
Exactly. Exactly.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much for that. Okay, Rose says, good morning. Well, Rose is probably somewhere else. My best friend is experiencing low back pain. Her doctor said her slip disc is becoming dry, and that's why at night or working hard, she has pain. What patches would you suggest, and how can she get more collagen?
Okay, so again, you start with your X39 patch. I like to place that with somebody with back injuries on the very top of the neck. That's an important placement, C7. And, sometimes I will place the ice wave. So I use ice wave, the tan on the most painful area where that slip disc is. I would place the tan right there. And a really good spot to play. I mean, you can play with the other white patch, because remember that ice wave is a 2-patch system, tan and white. And generally speaking, the tan goes on the left side of the body, the white goes on the right side. So sometimes I find it works really well to put the tan on the back, and on top of the foot, there's a place between the big toe and the second toe. If you put that in the indentation, the white one on the right foot, they're going to communicate with one another, and that can work really well. Other times I've used the clock method, meaning tan in the back where the pain is and go around with the white patch to see where you get relief. Put like a sticky piece of medical tape on it before removing the backing and play with it. Stick it in different spots to see which is going to give them relief. And then at night when they go to bed, have them wear the Eon on the painful spot. I like to always say to people, there's a good, better, best situation. When people have a level of pain that's 1 to 4, X39 is going to do it. It's going to take care of it, right? If it's above a 4, between a 4 and a 6, I find X39 and Eon will do the trick. So if that's good as X39, better is the X39 and Eon, and better for this level of pain, if we're talking 7 to 10, then I say X39, Ice Wave, and Eon.
Beautiful. That is the pain kit. X39, Eon, and Ice Wave. It'll take care of you 24 hours a day. Okay, and then it'll help people sleep too. Thank you so much. Okay, Marty, what patches would work best for shaking and tremors that started after having the jab?
I would always start with the X39 because and I can share with you, I had this brand partner of mine had the same kind of situation. Was a little different in that she wasn't even able to use her limbs or arms or legs at all. When she started using the X39 patch, I told her to use the Eon as well. She did the 2 patches. Those are my favorite patches. And if you were to talk to David, he would tell you that those are his 2 favorite as well. And I have found that several of the people that I've worked with post jab using those patches have had tremendous results. It doesn't happen overnight. However, you need to understand that one of my brand partners, it took 4 months, and she went back to see her practitioner at the end of 4 months. They had put her on high doses of steroids and other kinds of things. She went back at the end of 4 months, and her SED rate, her CRP, these are all inflammatory blood markers, were all normal, all of them.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Pretty amazing.
X39 and Eon, if you're going to have 2 patches, those are the 2. Okay. Juanita, my friend has a skin issue where her hands are getting pale. She also has GI issue. What do you recommend?
Yeah, that's a circulatory issue. Again, X39, you're going to start with X39.
I might consider carnosine. Carnosine is wonderful for circulation, or the other option is X39, X49 combination, because X49, which is the sister patch to X39, X39, X49, and by the way, you can get them in a bundle. It's really beneficial for the cardiovascular system, the endothelial tissues of the heart, blood vessels, capillaries, veins, and that's what we're talking about here. I know what that paleness is in the hand. That's a circulatory issue, and the gastrointestinal issue. I have found X39 can really help with that. But remember, you have to do your part. Robin often says that you have to do your part, meaning you need to make sure that you are eating, the right foods. Stay away from sugar. Sugar is very damaging. Read your labels. There's a lot of food today with a lot of inflammatory fats in them. And when you've got a gastrointestinal issue, you've got inflammation there. So you want to, stay away from the foods that are going to cause the problems. Eat food that God created. Eat food in its natural state is the best way to eat and get that gastrointestinal tract better. And that's kind of what I would recommend. And by the way, there was a collagen question. I mean, you can get some really good, clean collagen and take that and put some in your smoothie every day to help with collagen production as well.
Great, thank you. And X39EN, amazing. Amazing. Okay, so Nicole, my brother's eager to start using the patches. He's 44 and he's been losing clumps of hair that then grow back white. He also lost eyebrow hair that does not grow back. He believes stress is a component. Otherwise, he's in excellent health and incredible shape. I think he should use X39 during the day and EN at night. Is it okay for him to start with 2 patches? What do you recommend?
Absolutely. She's right on, right, Nicole? I would absolutely start with X39. And actually, I've also heard stories of X39, X49 combination helping with hair growth as well. But I also would be, the stress part is concerning to me. And so EON does, I mean, if you're going to say 2 patches, X39 and EON for sure, because he needs to get that back in check and bring balance back to his nervous system. This is impacting his hormones, and it may even be impacting his thyroid. When I hear eyebrows are disappearing, that can be related to thyroid. So it's important to make sure he gets that in good check. And he might even want to have a full thyroid panel done to make sure.
Beautiful. Thank you. This is the X39EN show, in case you didn't notice. We're going to take just a few more. Karen, what patches are recommended for someone who's taken a significant fall, hitting their head, ribs, and is now experiencing dizziness, and where to place them? I hope they went to the hospital, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it sounds like there's going to be pain here, right, involved, because when somebody falls, so for me, it would definitely be Ice Wave, X39, Ice Wave, and EON. And for the dizziness, energy enhancers. I find the energy enhancers can move energy and help. And trying to remember where to place them. I might place them on the temple. I would put the tan on the left, the white on the right. You might find that helpful there. And I tell people, move them around. If that doesn't work, go behind the ears. That's another good acupuncture point. And then use your other patches for pain management. The ones that I just recommended, those are the ones you want to use. X39 is going to help them heal really rapidly. If they've got some ribs that are either fractured or broken or bruised or whatever happened there, they're going to heal rapidly with the X39. So you definitely want to bring that one in, as well as the energy enhancers. And remember something, the energy enhancers are going to help the other patches work even better. So a lot of times when people are in pain and they don't get the results that we want to see with Ice Wave, for example, using the energy enhancers with the Ice Wave,
you can have even better effect with that combination of the two.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we're going to take just a few more. Marty, what patches would be best for after a neurological issue in which there's a loss of words, some paralysis and pain going the length of the left side of the body, and some memory challenges?
Yeah, I've experienced that with my mom. So I can tell you that we did use the what we call the HAT protocol. And for those of you who've never heard of the HAT or brain protocol, you wear a baseball hat and you're putting the patches inside of the hat. You're putting 2 sets of energy enhancers, tan on the left, white on the right, tan in the back of the hat, and white in the front of the hat. So you're sticking them right inside of the hat. And then on the very crown of the hat, you're putting in glutathione and you're putting in Eon. And then of course you want to use the X39. And what I want to share with you is that when my mom had a similar episode, it wasn't quite as severe as this one that you're describing, but it was enough that she was very mixed up. She was having trouble walking. She, at that point, she was telling me that she was seeing 2 of me, and there was a wheel that kept spinning in front of her eyes. And so she kept holding her head and her eyes were really impacted. So we at 3 o'clock that afternoon put the hat on, and at 8 o'clock that night, after wearing the hat for 5 hours, turned and looked over at my husband and I and said, "It's gone." And I said, "What do you mean it's gone?" And she said, "I'm not seeing the wheel." And I said, do you see 2 of me?" And she said, "No, I only see 1 of you." And I said, "Can you try to walk, Mom?" And she got up and walked. And I was like, oh my God. It was really, it had just happened. And I treated her, right away. It's not that it's going to happen that way with everybody. I did keep the hat on my mom for 2 weeks, wearing them. I had her wear it for like 4 or 5 hours a day. And then I reversed the pole of the patches per Dr. Tom, our neurologist, our famous neurologist here, who comes on periodically. He recommended that I reverse the patches, and I did that for another 2 weeks. And then she did not use that hat again for another year before she had another little episode. So, it really did work wonderfully. And if you want to know, and you don't know that hat protocol well, go to liveyoungerproducts.com and you will find the hat protocol listed there, and you'll be able to see exactly what patches and where to patch as well.
Okay. And you can use any hat, right?
Any hat. That's correct.
Yes. As long as the patches are, 3 inches or less from your body, any hat will work. Okay. Thank you for that. And it's amazing that you got to witness this with your mother. It's like, and you don't forget that, because in the studies they've shown in thermography, the synchronization of the brain frequencies from wearing the hat. It's very exciting. Okay, Christine, what would you suggest for random seizures that are getting worse and more often? What would you use, and where do you suggest putting the patches?
I would use the hat protocol again and the X39 patch. Yeah, I would definitely do that same protocol, because we're talking here again, it's head, right? It's the head, and there's some kind of injury or something going on that's not functioning properly. And we want to get that energy moving and things flowing properly and bringing balance back. This is all about bringing the balance back to where it needs to be. And when you get seizures, things are out of sync, right? So you want to get things back in sync. And that's what the HAT protocol is going to help do. So I definitely would. And it reminded me of, there's a gentleman that also had a similar episode of my mother, but his was involved in a hand. And I remember him telling me, "I'm going to Florida and I want to golf." And I wanted to talk about. I'll mute her. I want to use this hand is what he told me. And I told him what to do. And 2 weeks later, I got a message that he was golfing and doing great. So I was like, yay.
How fun is that? How fun is that? Okay, we're going to finish up with Nicole, and we've gone way past, but since we're on the hat, Nicole says, I'm new and heard about the hat protocol last week. I was wondering if using an actual hat for the hat protocol and not putting the patches on the head, how long will they stay potent in the hat? I also have heard people sharing stories about saving and reusing patches. So I'm wondering if a hat is equipped with patches, would ever need to have patches replaced since they aren't going on the skin. I'm also wondering if when placing the patches in the hat, do they need to have the adhesive part facing the head, or can the adhesive be facing the hat and still work? Really good questions, Nicole. Thank you. And
Yeah, for sure. So it doesn't matter which way you place those in the hat, they will work. The heat of the body will activate those patches. And what I did with my mom was that, remember I told you she used them for 4 to 5 hours a day. And so I used them for 3 days in a row, the same patches. And then on day 4, I would change the patches over and put fresh patches in, and she'd use them another 3 days for that many hours a day. So that's kind of what I did. Yes, there are people that reuse patches. It's not something the company, if you call the company will tell you not to, but they do have, patches are designed to have something like 18 to 20 hours maybe of frequency in them. And I kind of like to compare it to a battery, in that, when you put a battery in a flashlight and you turn the light on and you leave the light on, that the light is going to be bright initially, and then the battery is going to start to wear. And the same thing happens with the patches. The frequency starts to wear and isn't as powerful as it was at the very beginning. And so though there's still some frequency left after the 12 hours, a lot of people will take their patches and stick them on their pets and they get great results. So it's important, to understand that a lot of reasons why the company doesn't recommend that you do it is because they don't want you to transmit infection by re-wearing the patches. So keep them clean. I tell people, take a piece of wax paper. If you're only going to use them for a few hours, stick it on the piece of wax paper or put your backing back on them, and then you can take them and put them back on your own body again and use them.
wow. Great information this evening. Thank you, Anne. We always get an amazing education and fabulous stories from you. We so appreciate you. So thank you. And thank you everyone that shared your stories, and thank you everyone that showed up. And please do share these stories. This call is in our Facebook group, Live Younger Facebook. It'll also be on our YouTube channel, and you can find it there. And if you can't make it live, you can always share it with people. And if you're new this evening or you're just checking us out, we invite you to get started and get back to the person that invited you. We've got a wonderful customer program. We've got several different options there. And if you're the kind of person that likes to share, well, our brand partner program is fabulous, and you'll get compensated generously for sharing with other people. So thank you everyone for taking the time this evening. Thank you for Gregory in the background doing the tech support. This is a team effort, and we're so thrilled that we get to share this amazing technology with the world. And you said it earlier, we give people hope that the future can be different. So thank you, everyone, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.
Thank you,
You can
everybody.
unmute and say thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
y'all.
Thank you. Bless everyone.
Information.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Fabulous call. Great job, everyone. Great job.
Thanks, Ann.